If a woman is developing feelings for you, she will reveal it through her words long before she ever says it directly. And once you know what to listen for, everything changes. Most people think attraction is about body language or obvious flirting. But what researchers have discovered is far more subtle than that. Language itself becomes a window into someone's emotional world. The phrases a woman chooses, the way she frames things, the words she reaches for without thinking, all of it carries meaning she may not even be aware of. Behavioral psychology tells us that people unconsciously telegraph emotional attachment through the way they speak. Dr. John Gottman, one of the most respected names in relationship research, found that the specific words people use are among the strongest predictors of genuine emotional investment. So when a woman is catching feelings, her language shifts in ways that reveal everything, often before she has admitted anything to herself. By the end of this, you will understand exactly what those shifts sound like, and the final one is the most telling of all, so stay with it until the end. When a woman looks at you and says something like, "It is so strange, I feel like I have known you my whole life," she is not filling silence with small talk. She is expressing something her subconscious has already processed without her permission. That phrase points to a feeling of deep comfort and effortless familiarity, the kind that does not usually develop so quickly. Psychologists have found that women tend to form emotional attachments faster than men, particularly when they feel genuinely understood by someone. Dr. Gottman's research on emotional safety shows that when a person begins to associate another with warmth, trust, and ease, romantic interest follows almost naturally. She is not just complimenting you. She is telling you that being around you already feels like home. The right way to respond is not to brush past it. You can be playful about it, something like asking whether she thinks you two might have crossed paths in another life, or you can meet her with sincerity and simply say that you feel the same way. Either approach acknowledges the bond without making things awkward, and that acknowledgement is exactly what allows those feelings to keep growing. Now here is one that confuses a lot of people. When a woman says something along the lines of, "You are honestly one of my closest friends, even though we have not known each other that long," the instinct might be to panic and assume the worst. But that reaction misses what is actually happening. When she calls you one of her closest friends early in a connection, she is not pushing you into a corner. She is telling you that she already trusts you at a depth that most people never reach with her. Women are wired to seek emotional security before anything else develops. Physical attraction follows emotional safety, not the other way around. If she is opening up about things she would not normally share, bringing you into her inner world, telling you things she keeps from most people, she is emotionally investing in you. That is not the friend zone. That is the foundation every real relationship is built on. A confident, grounded response works well here. You might say something like, "I appreciate that. I've always believed the strongest relationships start as genuine friendships." That plants a seed without pressure, and it signals that you understand exactly what kind of connection actually lasts. When she tells you that you are different from the other men she has met, pay attention. She is not saying it to be polite. Women are constantly, even if unconsciously, evaluating whether someone is worth their emotional energy. When she says you stand out, she is telling you that you have already passed a filter most men never get through. Psychologists describe this through the concept of selective perception. Once we begin developing an emotional attachment to someone, we start viewing them through a lens that elevates them above the crowd. She is placing you in a category of your own. The best response here is not just a grateful nod. A little playful confidence goes a long way. You might say you will take that as a good thing, and then turn it back on her by asking what exactly she thinks makes you so different. That question works because when she starts answering it, she is literally talking herself deeper into her own attraction. She is putting words to what she feels, and that process reinforces everything. When a woman tells you she can be herself around you, that is one of the most meaningful things she can say. Most people spend the majority of their time presenting a curated version of themselves, the version they think will be accepted, liked, or approved of. Dropping that mask around someone is not casual. It requires a level of emotional safety that most connections never reach. When she starts showing you her weird side, admitting things she finds embarrassing, being goofy or vulnerable without filtering it, she is telling you that you are one of the rare people she does not have to perform for. Psychologists call this authenticity bonding, and it sits at the very core of long-term attraction. If she says something like, "I do not know why, but I can just be completely myself with you," your response should match her energy and warmth. Acknowledge it with something like telling her that is the best compliment she could give. Or if she is being playful, lean into it. Tell her you want to see the full, unfiltered version. When she feels celebrated for being real, she will never want to lose that feeling around you. There is a phrase that sounds simple on the surface, but carries enormous weight underneath it. When a woman tells you that you make her feel seen and heard, she is pointing to something genuinely rare in her experience. Women are not just looking to be listened to, they want to feel like their thoughts and feelings actually matter to the person across from them. Research published in Psychology Today identified emotional validation as one of the most powerful drivers of long-term attraction. When a woman feels truly heard, she feels safe, valued, and deeply connected. This does not happen through grand gestures. It happens in the small moments. When you remember something she mentioned in passing, when you ask a follow-up question about something personal she shared, when you engage with genuine curiosity instead of waiting for your turn to talk. When she notices that, and she will look at you differently. The right response in that moment is to reinforce it naturally. Something like telling her that the best connections are built on real mutual understanding and that you genuinely value hearing how she sees things. That keeps the emotional door wide open. When she says she feels a deep connection with you, she is not talking about surface-level chemistry or a shared interest in the same music. She is describing something that feels rare and hard to put into words, the sense that you two are somehow in sync on a level that goes beyond the ordinary. Psychologists refer to this as emotional resonance, and it describes what happens when two people's inner worlds align in a way that feels almost uncanny. You will notice the signs building up before she ever says it directly. She starts opening up about her deeper fears, her childhood, her real dreams. She brings up past conversations you have had and mentions how much they stayed with her. She begins associating time with you with a sense of emotional fullness. When she does finally say it, do not minimize it. Reflect it back. Tell her that kind of connection is not something you come across often, and that you think what you two have is genuinely something worth holding on to. There is a distinction worth drawing between feeling a deep connection and feeling like she can talk to you about absolutely anything. The first is about an emotional bond. The second is about something that makes relationships last, emotional compatibility. Think about how many people in your life you genuinely feel you can say anything to without worrying about being judged or misunderstood. For most people, that list is very short. If she puts you on it, she is telling you that you are her safe space. She trusts that you will actually engage with what she shares, whether it is something heavy or something completely random. The signs of this show up in small ways. A text out of nowhere about something that was on her mind, asking your opinion on a real decision she is facing, sharing a personal struggle without hesitation. Each one of those is a sign of emotional investment. The right response keeps things warm and open. Even tease her a little about the randomness of whatever she brings, but always follow it with something that tells her you value the fact that she brings it to you at all. The more she feels that, the deeper in she goes. And then there is the bonus one, perhaps the most telling of all. When a woman tells you she misses you even though you have barely been apart, that is not a throwaway statement. Missing someone is not something that happens with just anyone. It means that person has become woven into your thoughts, your mood, and the rhythm of your day. When a woman expresses that she misses you after only a short time has passed, what she is really communicating is that your presence has become something her emotional world has started to depend on. Psychologists explain that attachment forms when someone begins to associate another person's presence with feelings of happiness, safety, and excitement. When those feelings take root, absence starts to register. Imagine spending an evening together and then getting a message the next morning that simply says, "I miss you already." She is not just filling the conversation, she is showing you exactly where her heart is pointing. Keep your response warm and uncomplicated. Tell her you miss her too. That simple confirmation deepens the bond more than any elaborate reply ever could. If any of this resonated with something you have been experiencing, share it with someone who might need to hear it. You never know who is trying to make sense of exactly this.